Every year, over 250,000 cold cases go unsolved in the United States alone. That's hundreds of thousands of lives frozen in time, families still waiting for closure, victims without justice, and mysteries that continue to haunt entire communities. And that number grows with each passing day. In this world of true crime, where every detail matters and every second counts, many people assume that only seasoned detectives and veteran investigators can crack the code. But today, we ask a question that challenges that belief. Can rookies, fresh minds with little to no experience, actually solve cold cases that have stumped experts for decades? Welcome back to CrimeBot Chronicles. Today, I'm putting myself to the test. I'm diving deep into cold cases, ones buried beneath dust, red tape, and fading memories. These are the cases that law enforcement shelved when leads dried up, when witnesses went silent, and when evidence hit a dead end. These are the true crime stories you thought had no ending. But what if the key has been hiding in plain sight all along? What if the missing piece of the puzzle isn't a fingerprint or a security tape, but a fresh pair of eyes? A rookie's instinct. That's what we're about to explore. Cold cases are more than just old files sitting in metal drawers. They're stories of real crime, murder, loss, and trauma. The term cold case refers to criminal investigations that have not been solved after a significant amount of time has passed. Often, this means years, sometimes decades, without justice. The trail grows cold, and the urgency fades. But not for the victims' families. For them, time doesn't heal wounds. It only deepens them. They continue living with unanswered questions and sleepless nights, wondering what happened and why. Traditional law enforcement faces major hurdles when revisiting cold cases. Evidence may have degraded. Witnesses may be gone. Memories fade. Resources shift to newer cases. And let's not forget the psychological weight. Investigators often grow disillusioned after countless dead ends. That's why many cold cases never see a resolution. The reality is brutal. Even with technological advancements like DNA testing and digital forensics, many cold cases remain locked behind a wall of silence and circumstance. But here's where things get interesting. In the last few years, a new wave of investigators has entered the scene. Rookies, ordinary people, podcasters, YouTubers, college students, even true crime enthusiasts. What they lack in experience, they make up for in relentless curiosity, open-mindedness, and unconventional thinking. Unlike traditional detectives who are often constrained by protocol and procedure, rookies can think outside the box. They're not burdened by the way things have always been done. And sometimes, that's exactly what a case needs. Take the case of Alyssa Turney. She vanished from Phoenix, Arizona in 2001. For years, her case was cold. Law enforcement believed she'd run away. But her sister, Sarah Turney, a civilian with no investigative background, refused to accept that narrative. She launched a social media campaign, dug through old records, and created a true crime podcast that exposed inconsistencies in the investigation. Her determination reignited public interest. Eventually, the pressure forced the authorities to reopen the case. Her own stepfather was later charged with second-degree murder. That's the power of fresh eyes. And what about the Bear Brook murders in New Hampshire? For decades, investigators struggled to identify the 4 female victims whose remains were found in barrels. It wasn't until amateur sleuths, genealogists, and data analysts collaborated, many of them rookies in crime solving, that DNA technology and crowdsourced research helped identify the victims and eventually link them to serial killer Terry Rasmussen. This true crime case proves that you don't need a badge to make a breakthrough. You need obsession, patience, and the willingness to explore with us into the unknown. Psychologically, rookies often come with fewer mental blocks. They haven't been burned out by the system. Their curiosity hasn't been dulled by years of bureaucracy. And most importantly, they ask questions that professionals may overlook. Simple questions. Honest questions. Why would she leave her toothbrush behind if she planned to run away? Or, why did the timeline change so drastically between testimonies? These aren't complex forensic theories. They're observations rooted in intuition and fresh perspective. And in cold case investigations, That can be everything. But let's not romanticize the rookie approach. This isn't a movie. Not every armchair detective is going to solve a murder mystery. In fact, many get lost in obsession, conspiracies, and misinformation. There's a fine line between dedication and delusion. The psychological toll of true crime deep dives can be intense. Rookies must be careful not to become consumed by the darkness they're investigating. Trauma isn't just experienced by the victims' families. It can echo into the lives of those chasing the truth. Still, some breakthroughs can only happen when people are willing to revisit the forgotten. Consider the 1984 murder of 14-year-old Wendy Jerome in Rochester, New York. For over 3 decades, her murder remained unsolved. But in 2019, advancements in DNA technology and the efforts of a new generation of forensic analysts helped identify the suspect, Timothy Williams. He was arrested 36 years after the crime. It wasn't just science that cracked the case. It was the persistence of those who refused to forget. And then there's the mysterious disappearance of college student Kristen Smart in 1996. The case went cold for over 2 decades. But true crime podcasts like Your Own Backyard, created by a man named Chris Lambert, helped bring national attention back to her story. Lambert wasn't a detective. He was a musician. But his podcast rekindled interest in Kristen's case, leading to new witnesses coming forward and eventually the arrest of longtime suspect Paul Flores in 2021. The ripple effect of one rookie's determination changed everything. The question remains, can just anyone crack a cold case? The answer is complex. Not every rookie will, but every rookie matters, because they represent a movement, a shift, a refusal to let silence win. Law and crime don't always play out like they do in documentaries or television dramas. Real cases are messy, incomplete, and painful. But every now and then, someone outside the system finds the missing thread. And when they pull it, the entire mystery begins to unravel. Think about the countless true crime documentaries and true crime YouTube videos out there. Behind many of them are people who never intended to be investigators. They just wanted answers. They saw something that didn't sit right. They asked a question. They followed a hunch. And in some cases, they helped deliver justice. True Crime Central is no longer just police departments and forensic labs. It's become a network of minds, hearts, and voices refusing to give up. We've entered a new era. Crowdsourcing, social media, open data archives, and DNA genealogy tools have transformed the way cold cases are handled. Today, anyone with a computer and a passion for justice can contribute. The barriers between professional and amateur sleuths are dissolving. And while the risk of misinformation still looms large, the benefits of a collective effort cannot be denied. Perhaps the most astonishing example of rookie impact is the case of the Golden State Killer. For decades, this elusive predator haunted California. Police had almost nothing. But in 2018, the combination of investigative genealogy and amateur DNA sleuthing finally unmasked him. Joseph James DeAngelo was arrested over 40 years after his crimes began. Who contributed to that arrest? Not just seasoned detectives, but volunteers, rookies, data enthusiasts, and ordinary people who wanted to right a wrong. So, can rookies crack the code on solving cold cases? But only when they combine passion with discipline, intuition with research, and heart with evidence. They need to respect the pain of the families and the complexities of the criminal justice system. They need to approach every cold case not as a game, but as a sacred responsibility, a chance to be the voice that the victim no longer has. At CrimeBot Chronicles, we're not just telling stories, we're chasing truth. We're exploring the unexplained, questioning the unresolved, and shining a light where others have turned away. If you've ever felt drawn to the world of true crime, if you've ever wondered how ordinary people can change the course of a mystery, this is your place. This is your story. What do you think? Can rookies really solve cold cases? Or are some mysteries meant to stay buried? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. Like, share, and subscribe to CrimeBot Chronicles so you never miss a new true crime deep dive. And if this video sparked your curiosity, check out our next upload. where we unravel the most shocking solved cold cases of the last decade. Because sometimes, justice doesn't knock. It waits for someone brave enough to find the door. This is CrimeBot Chronicles. Stay curious, stay relentless, and above all, stay human.